I want to be quite frank with you here. If the British withdraw, I'm prepared to go on with the Australians and the New Zealanders, but I'm not prepared to go on with the Americans.
Why not, Mr. Prime Minister? Why do you think America...
Well, can I put it this way? I think there are highly intelligent, well-meaning often people, and some of their leaders, like Kennedy, the late president, had signs of growing greatness, depth. But, you know, by and large, the administration lacks depth and judgment or wisdom, which comes out of an accumulation of knowledge of human beings and human situations over a long period of time. That's lacking. And it's not their fault. What have they got? 300-400 years of history, and they've become a nation just recently. You know, I'll tell you this. I've had only three experiences with the Americans. And they did not intend any harm in each one of them. But the tragedy was they did real harm. First, this is old stuff now. We caught an American CIA agent trying to subvert our intelligence special branch officer. Bribe him so that the special branch officer will feed the CIA, because the CIA wants to know what's happening. I mean, subverting a Singapore officer. The man might have succeeded, but I'm proud to say that the officer offered large sum of money and continuing sums of money. This was in 1960. Refused and reported the matter to his chief, who reported it to me. Man was caught, locked up, and it was on razor's edge whether we charged him in open court or not. No, let me explain this. When I told the American government, all right, we keep quiet, you take this man away, $100 million to the Singapore government for economic development. You know? No, listen to me. I didn't tell, you know, I never spoke to the Americans direct, because, you know, they lack the finesse, and, you know, they may say, yes, they give it to you. Why not? Why should the Singapore government just give to you, to me, which would have ruined me? But through an intermediary, they offered me and my party $10 million. I mean, the insult, you know. I told them, keep it. No, this is important. Do not forget this. And this is why I have not the slightest doubt that my two colleagues, Dr. To and Mr. Rajaratnam, go on this tour of Afro-Asia, which they'll do as soon as the local affairs are settled. I have not the slightest doubt that Afro-Asia will be with us. You see, unlike if Cuba, with an American base, with American sovereignty, is independent and not a neo-colonialist stooge, then me, the people of Singapore, owners of the British bases. I mean, I could give you a notice, 24 hours notice, you have to quit. Or you're committing an act of aggression with very serious consequences.
Oh, very true.
Oh, yeah, surely.
I think
Hey, how you doing, guys? I hope you're all doing great. I hope you guys had for mothers, you had an amazing Mother's Day yesterday. And for children, you know, we all have mothers. Some of them, some people are not so lucky to have their mothers right now, but we all came from a mother. So all of you guys who like, you know, did something for your parents, you know, big ups to you. Women do a lot, and you know, it's good that they get recognized for everything they do. But don't let it be a one-day thing, you know. Do stuff for your moms, man. You know, Anyway, I got something I want to say today about Captain Ibrahim Traore, right? There's something that bothers me. And I think like this is just my channel, man. I'm gonna tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. You know. There's something about Ibrahim Traore and the things he's doing, that just, it makes you smile especially as an African. But what has happened, that what he's doing is so right that the whole world is cheering him on. Like it's crazy when you're doing the right thing, people can see, and the world is connected. Like 99.9% of things that happen in any part of the world is the same. We are 99.99% the same. I saw this video of an Indian guy saying, "Oh, when he becomes a politician, he's the most honest politician ever." If I was in where that guy was standing, I'll vote for him. At least he was honest. He said, "I'm gonna steal. I'm gonna get all the money. I'm gonna find the way to see how these guys operate and get the contracts, and I'm gonna employ all my family." Most honest politician ever. But what he said is so connected with everything else that happens in the rest of the world. Even right now, there's a thing called the Trump boys have a boys club, and they're charging $500,000 for you to become a member. And you know why? Because then you have access to their dad. This is how it works, guys. It's not just in Africa. This works everywhere. That's just how politics are. And it tells you just how similar things happen. It might be a little bit different, but at the core of it, it's the same thing. So the stuff about Traore that kind of worries me is not Traore, but about the African mind. If you saw a video that I played at the beginning of this video, was Kuan Yew talking about how the CIA wanted to sabotage what this man was doing for Singapore. And they were willing to give $10 million to people within his circle to sabotage what he's doing. But there's something that the Singaporeans people did. They didn't take the money. They did not take the money. And I always wonder why these guys didn't take the money, right? They didn't take the money, and they told Lee Kuan Yew what the CIA were planning. And guess what? Today, Singapore is a good place for the people who didn't take the money, and for Lee Kuan Yew, and every Singaporean benefits. They have their own issues, but you can tell, compared to where they were and where they are now, it's a much better country. And all was the vision of Lee Kuan Yew. Now, let's do the same thing to Africans. The outsiders, the ones who give the people within the circle of somebody to eliminate that person, the Africans always take the bait. Now, why is that? Is it something to do with intelligence, maybe? So you can sit down and think, because apparently the people in Singapore have a very high IQ. I don't know. I'm just asking. Is it something where you have to sit down and maybe think about the future? Maybe certain groups of people can't think about the future. I certainly know that's common in Africa. People, even governments, they don't have a long-term plan. They have a plan for tomorrow. That's why, like, they'll say, when there's an election coming, or put up a road here, and then they say, okay, we're going to put up a road that can last 20 years, we can put up a road that can last 10 years, or we can put up a road that can last 2 years. They say, put up a road that can last 2 years. Because all they want to do is to get elected. After that, potholes again. But the funny thing is the road they put up that lasted 2 years ends up costing us the road that was going to last for 20 years. And all that money, these guys just pocket. So what I've noticed about the African conscience is the inability to think ahead, to think, 10, 20, 30, 100 years from now. And I think one of the reasons why this happens is that we've lost that connection to here, to our history, to who we are. We've lost that. I read something like a former French minister said about Macron, and she was blaming him for how the French are getting kicked out of Africa. and she blamed him for that. And she said the African people don't have a history, so they can't control the world. I don't know how true that is, but I know Jacques Chirac said something about how France without Africa, France becomes a developed third world country. So there's some truth to that. They have to use Africa to fund free education, free healthcare, free this, free that in France. They have to use Africa to do that. But what this woman said, there could be some truth to it. Because if you're not connected to your history, history gives you power. History gives you strength. I've heard so many people, so many young black kids that live in the West who were so lost. And the moment they found out about their history, the moment they started seeing that some of the people if not all the people, all the pharaohs in ancient Kemet. Because if you really think about it, let's be honest, that mummy of Ramses, and then when you compare that to the statues, they don't look the same. So I don't know what was going on. They don't look the same. Either someone is lying. Either Ramses was some Greek guy who went and carved his name on everything that was there before him to claim it was him, because they don't look the same. Or the Ramses mummy is just fake. Okay? So some of these kids, when they started watching that and they started to realize that they had a history, everything about them changed. There was more strength, there was more determination, there was more, self-belief. And they improved. Their school results improved. The way they thought improved. I think that's very important, because if you go to the UK, you go to some of these places, like in the UK, there's a stab fest going on there. People just stabbing and acting wild. First of all, I'm going off topic here a little bit. I reckon when black people move into some of these really cold places, take your vitamin D, guys. Because I think that stuff, like this, some of these places, we are not meant to live there. They are so cold that it's one of those places where you just want to visit. You're dark skinned and it's freezing cold where you are. You're not getting enough vitamin D, guys. You need to find a way to get some supplement vitamin D, because then that start affecting your mental status. Because some of the things our people end up doing in some of these places, you just go like, what the heck? Why would you do that? So I'm just going off topic. Coming back. So one thing I realized about Traore now, he has Russian commandos protecting and Chinese soldiers protecting him. To me, that's sad. And the reason why I say that's sad is because his people should be protecting him. I know there's like the normal people, not the soldiers. They are like sleeping around this palace to protect him. I get that, and that's great. But his own soldiers should be able to protect him. The people around him should be able to protect him. And I think we need to find a way to where that's possible. Basically, we need to find a way in which people are educated enough to know the importance of what you're doing. Like, the future is so much brighter if you are not for them and for everybody, if you stay in the game, if you manage to live long enough. Because you can give an example of what happened in most countries. I think Ghana was better with Kwame Nkrumah as president. I think Touré, Guinea was better with him as president. Mozambique with Samora Machel was a better country with him as president. We can go on. Patrice Lumumba, Congo was a better country with Patrice Lumumba as president. We can go on and on and on and on and on and on. But once these people got eliminated, obviously everything fell apart. And the thing is, even the people who participated in the elimination of these wonderful men, they ended up suffering. And they just destroyed the future of millions of people just by that one decision. Look at Compaoré in Burkina Faso, 20-something years, and he did nothing. The country was dying. Imagine if it was Thomas Sankara for that number of years. We have a very, very different Burkina Faso. And that's something I just want us to start to think about, is that why is it that it's much easier for us to accept bribes and to delete the leaders that are giving us hope? So it's just something I would like everyone to start to think about. Like, why does that happen? How come it happens here and it didn't happen there? Because if we can find out the why, then we might find a better solution to it and try to work on that. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.